Oh, what is that smell? Oh yes, it's the smell of a general election coming up, and the Tory party, the Tory government, Rishi Sunak, suddenly are becoming conservative again because of the election. We have all these headlines this morning today saying Rishi Sunak says, I'm on the motorists' side. Yes, he's now ordered a review of the anti-car scheme, so ULEZ, low traffic neighborhoods, clean air zones, road chargers, everything. Suddenly, Rishi Sunak has woken up and has become anti-crazy extreme net zero measures. The same Rishi Sunak who voted to turn the whole thing into a legislation, the net zero targets, the same Rishi Sunak who until yesterday didn't really mind about LTNs, ULEZ or any of these measures. Somehow an election is coming up and the Tories are sound. What a surprise. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are we talking about in this video? Yes, the Prime Minister is going to be reviewing, has now officially launched a review into all these measures. I mean, the problem we have is that, obviously I explained the reality, why, the truth behind when they announce conservative policies. But sometimes, not that we fall for it, but we have no option short term. So we say, well, if they're actually going to be doing it, so let's just support it. So this is why we have Alan Miller, who's one of the key campaigners and the founder of Together Association, saying, victory for drivers. Rishi Sunak announces a review of the rollout of the low traffic neighborhoods, LTNs, as the PM says he is on the side of motorists. Well done everyone for campaigning. Keep going. There is a but. 2030 deadline remains at the moment. End it. That's a good point. We had Richard Tice, the leader of Reform, saying peak net zero. Sanity may be beginning to prevail. I believe we are now past a peak net zero. Even Sunak waking up to this madness. Still brutal, hard battles ahead, but we will prevail and defeat the cult. So everyone's cautious, but they are quite optimistic, saying yes, it's happening. The insanity. I mean, I do actually believe with the thought, with the thinking of we passed peak net zero, because I knew this was going to happen, and we've been saying it for the past year or so on this channel, saying, firstly, the 2030 targets, not going to happen. It's just impossible to hit. The whole concept of net zero, that's not going to happen, especially by coercion. In the meantime, throughout the process, our lives will be destroyed. A lot of people will suffer, but they're not going to be able to hit it. So eventually they're going to have to make subtle U-turns and quietly basically make changes. But they're still going to find ways. They're still always going to be finding ways to control our lives. So we are where we are now. And when it comes to Downing Street, they've said that Rishi Sunak was concerned by the levels of congestion outside the roads in which they are implemented, the low traffic neighborhoods. They said, of course we want better air quality, but people have to consent and be happy to live in areas where, to varying degrees, cars and vans are blocked. You could have done something about it over the last few years, but you had to wait for us to show outrage and feel the pressure. Everything problem with the political system in this country is it's become extremely reactionary. We don't really have politicians or political leaders being visionary and proactive. And Margaret Thatcher didn't wait every week for some chaos to happen to react to it. When chaos happens, you have to react to it. But most of the time, people like her, people like Ronald Reagan, even on the left, people like Clement Attlee, they were proactive. They were creating things. Whereas now, we have politicians who are managerial and they just react to things. When there is a stabbing, they say, okay, we need to review the policing system. When there's someone gets debanked, well, we need to review the banking system. When the boats come from France, oh, we have to review the border crisis. But why not just fix it before it happens, you absolute idiots? So, Rishi Sunak himself said, the vast majority of people in the country use their cars to get around and are dependent on their cars. When I'm lucky enough to get home to North Yorkshire, which is hardly ever, it's more representative of how most of the country is living, where cars are important. I just want to make sure people know that I'm on their side in supporting them to use their cars to do all the things that matter to them. I can hear it in his voice. It's like, for those of you who are familiar with the TV show In-Betweeners, he's literally like Will from In-Betweeners, his voice. But it's fascinating. The flip-flopping from the main two political parties. Rishi Sunak goes more to the left, Keir Starmer goes to the right, and they meet each other in the centre, and nothing changes. Absolutely nothing changes. So we have all these headlines now. Yesterday and today, everyone's celebrating victory for drivers. Rishi Sunak announces a review of the rollout of the low traffic neighborhoods as Prime Minister says he's on the side of motorists. I don't care about reviews. Just cancel them. You have the power to cancel it. Stop this nonsense. It's all about rhetoric. It's all about wishy-washy. Oh, well, I don't really want to lose votes. I mean, if you truly don't want to lose votes, if you truly want to be in power, listen to logic, do the right policies, don't be reactive, and people will support you. It's basic politics. It's not rocket science. But unfortunately, not everybody has that skill. And it's quite fascinating. The more career politicians who are more academic or essentially more robotic, you think they are intelligent. They're more academically smart they could be, the more stupid they are when it comes to the real world. I would rather have someone from a random village in the country, or a farmer, or some bricklayer who's interested in politics and has done his homework and campaigning. I'd rather have them as Prime Minister than someone who's went to Oxbridge, or his wife's dad gave him money to build a business. Whatever. It's completely chaotic. We have all these cartoons now, which is quite brilliant as well. You got Sadiq Khan over there on top of one of the cars in the roller coaster, the Great Euler's Ride, and we got Keir Starmer at the bottom saying, "Perhaps we should rethink this." He's falling off. This is great. All these cartoons are more representative of what's actually happening in politics than if you watch BBC Parliament or BBC News. But we'll see where we're going to go. As we get closer to the election, we should expect more technically conservative rhetoric from this Prime Minister. And then he's going to put some stuff in the manifesto, and he's going to bury all the bad news in the manifesto underneath, like some sort of like a blueprint and the subprint of everything else in different pages. But if he wins, or if Keir Starmer wins, not much will change. The fundamental issues will still remain the same. Some smaller issues will change, and some of them will be completely destructive if Keir Starmer becomes Prime Minister. Whatever we say about these idiots in power now, Keir Starmer's ideas of, for example, bringing down the voting age to 16 and giving voting rights to children, giving voting rights to foreigners, opening the door to more foreigners and mass migration, so many issues. He's going to completely change the constitution and give more powers to the SNP and Mark Drakeford. This will completely change the country as we know it, and if you think things are bad now, it could get much worse by next year. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.